Hello, Asma, and hello, Tanya, and Ether. All right. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I had a little computer problem. But we are here. Oh, I said it correctly. Is it Aether? Is that the right way? Is that how I said it? Hello, Marwan. Hello, Raham. All right. Well, I almost said as me, but then I looked and I said, oh, it's Iran. I'm going to guess it's asthma, not as me. Hello, Tanvahul. I'm fine. Thank you. All right, let's bring up my notes. Hmm. I really have to go organize my chat GPT. It's out of control. Ah. Hello, Mora. Well, your name does sound very much like the word asthma. Uh, it's only slightly different. And the truth is that many people pronounce the word asthma wrong because there's the asthma, right? So you have the asthma in asthma, but when it happens quickly, 99% of people, when they say it quickly, you can't really hear it. It's the same as the word clothes, like your clothes. Most people, when they say the word quickly, the THES, it just comes out like an S. Close, like close the door. So, asthma and asthma are going to sound the same when they're at the same speed. That's why. What is the hardest accent to understand? Well, that depends on you. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. All right. Are you ready to begin? Today we are doing Mark's musings. Do you guys know what a musing is? What is a musing? What is a musing? A musing is a period of reflection or a thought. So it's a time of thinking, and um, it can be used in a way to describe something that you're thinking about, right? So what are you musing about? Means what are you contemplating? What are you meditating about? What are you thinking about? What are you trying to understand more deeply? That is what a musing is. It's something that entertains your mind. That's a musing. All right? Something that you think deeply about. Right. That's why the word amusing, if something is amusing, it's something that attracts your mind. It's something that you find interesting. It's amusing. Right? So the word musing is related to the word amusing. Okay? Is it a synonym of contemplate? I wouldn't say a synonym, but it's a close relationship, a cousin maybe. Okay? No, amazing and amusing are not related. No. They just sound related, but they are not related. Okay, let's look at what some of my musings are today. Let's talk about them. Let's see. What's the first one we're going to start with today? Let's start with this one. Here's the first quote for today. The first quote for today that you're going to muse about is this. Curiosity is, in great and generous minds, the first passion and the last. What does that mean? Curiosity is, in great and generous minds, the first passion and the last. What does this mean? What does this mean? Samuel Johnson. Who was Samuel Johnson, often called Dr. Johnson. He was an English writer. He wrote plays and essays and moral critiques of different things. He was a literary critic, a biographer, an editor, and a lexicographer from London. Yeah. So, let's see. I did type it there. You guys can't see it? I did type it in the chat. Yeah, curiosity is, in great and generous minds, the first passion and the last. What does it mean? Harma says curiosity is the strongest and most lasting feeling in great minds. It's the first thing they feel and the last thing to fade. Well said, my friend. Well said. Very well said. That was a perfect explanation. Yes, that's what it is. Curiosity is the strongest and most lasting feeling in great minds. It's the first thing they feel and the last thing to fade. Very good. Well done. Okay, curiosity is good for the desire of learning something. That's right, yeah. You will be curious in your whole lifetime from birth to end. You should be. That's what they're saying. If you're a great mind, then yes, you should be curious from the day you're born until the day you die. Okay, yes, great people are forever curious. That's right. Great minds are forever curious. That's correct. All right? Yeah, and I talk about curiosity a lot here. You know, somebody said curiosity killed the cat. Everybody likes to say that. Whenever you mention the word curiosity, they mention that one idiom about curiosity. And that's one of the worst idioms in the world. The idea that curiosity is a bad thing because you might get in trouble is one of the dumbest ideas in history. Can curiosity get you into trouble? Sure it can. But so can any step that you take. If you take a step in this direction, you could get in trouble. If you take a step in this direction, you could get in trouble. If you take a step in this direction, you could get in trouble. If you take a step in this direction, you could get in trouble. So the idea that you're going to avoid trouble by avoiding curiosity is stupid. That's basically saying, I'm going to be incurious my whole life because I think it's safer. So what you're saying is, it's safer to be dumb. And I don't think that's true. I don't think it's safer to be dumb. You know? So that's why you should be curious. Yeah, you should be curious. Curiosity is, if curiosity is what killed the cat, curiosity is also what gave us technology. Curiosity is what gave us books and computers and knowledge, and curiosity is what led us to learn about things. But keep talking about the cat. Please, go ahead. Keep talking about the cat like the cat matters. Curiosity is only a good thing. I'm sorry, but it just is. The resultant effects of curiosity sometimes might be not what you expect. But what does the word discover mean? To discover something. What does discover mean? It means to find out, but if you think about the word, what it really means is dis means not, and cover, to cover. So discover means uncover, not cover. So, yeah. The point is that finding out the truth is what's important, and curiosity is important to find the truth. And sometimes the truth can be ugly, but that doesn't mean you should shy away from it. It doesn't mean you should shy away from it. If you're new and you're joining my room, I have one simple rule. If you are ignoring me and what I'm doing, then I will ignore you and what you are doing. There's a simple rule here. If you're not paying attention to me, then I'm not paying attention to you. Okay? All right. So that's a good first quote. Curiosity is, in great and generous minds, the first passion and the last. Okay? Good. All right, let's go to the next one here. Here's a good one. Okay, the next quote is, spoon feeding in the long run teaches us nothing but the shape of the spoon. Spoon feeding in the long run teaches us nothing but the shape of the spoon. So what is spoon feeding first? What is spoon feeding? And by the way, Sala, you are going to be blocked and banned now. And I'm one of the most popular English teachers on Hello Talk. I have 82,000 followers here. So congratulations, because you just managed to get blocked by the most valuable person on Hello Talk. Well done. At Morgan, you best pay attention also. Morgan, I'm not here for you. Okay, I'm here for everybody. So pay attention. Why is it so hard? Okay, we're talking about spoon feeding. What is spoon feeding? Morgan, bye. Bye, Morgan. I don't care if you want to talk. I want to talk too. That's why I'm talking. Can't you see I'm busy? Goodbye. Goodbye. I don't care if you want to talk. Good Lord. Selfish people. Ugh. Okay. Shake it off. Shake it off. Spoon feeding. What does spoon feeding mean? It's a very simple concept. It's when your mother feeds you like a baby, and they put the spoon and they say, oh, open your mouth, baby. And they put the spoon in your mouth and they give you all the food. That is what spoon feeding means. Okay? So spoon feeding is what you do. So many of the people who come here, that's what you're doing. You only want spoon feeding. You don't really want to learn. You don't really want to work or be challenged. You want someone to give you the answers like a baby. That's what you want. You want someone to give you the answers like a baby. You know? Spoon feeding, Sophia says spoon feeding means we just accept what we heard. That's one meaning of it, but the original meaning, the first meaning, and the main meaning of spoon feeding means someone is doing it for you because you're too baby to do it for yourself. Too much of a baby. Okay? Thank you, Tanvahul. Yeah, that's kind of the idea. I don't know why I get so upset. I shouldn't, but I just do, because it's just, I just don't understand why people think it's okay to just demand attention. It's so weird. I've never done that. In my life, I've never done that. So I can't understand how you can be a real person and just interrupt people rudely. Okay, so spoon feeding. We're talking about spoon feeding because the quote we're talking about is spoon feeding in the long run teaches us nothing but the shape of the spoon. And so what this means is you need to, if I give you something, if I tell you everything, then you won't know anything. But if I give you a little bit and then you get the rest, then you'll know everything, right? So instead of me just giving you everything, what I do is I make it delicious. I make it delicious and I make it smell good and I make it look good, and then I put it in front of you. And if it smells good and it looks good and it's delicious, then you will want to eat it. We're talking about learning, not eating, right? If a teacher makes the information interesting, if a teacher makes the information exciting, intriguing, challenging, then the students will want to do it themselves. Yeah. Okay. That's the Chinese version of the quote. Where's the Chinese version of the quote? Oh, you mean spoon feed? Is there a Chinese version of spoon feeding? Is that what you mean? I'm not familiar with that. It means cramming in Chinese? Well, that's interesting. That's not a very good translation. Strange. Okay. Yeah, so the point is that if you really want to be smart, then you have to do it yourself. And it's going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging. Every time you are challenged, you are growing. If you are never challenged, you are never growing. Okay? So it's good to be challenged. It's good to be challenged. Okay, how about this next one? This next one is a little different. A little different. The comment of chopstick feeding. That's the Chinese version. Now I understand. I see. Right. Yeah. Duh, of course. Yeah. Quite. Yeah. Okay. Here's the next quote. The next quote is, "It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see." Henry David Thoreau, author. It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. Think about it, egg. It's not what you look at that matters. It's what you see. Think about a piece of art. Okay? I want you to think about a beautiful painting. A painting could be about anything. It's not what you look at, it's what you see. So every person who stands in front of that painting might feel something differently because what they see is their perception. It's their view of the world. Everybody sees the world from their own eyes. So it's your view, your perception of things. You might see this movie and think it's brilliant. I might see that movie and think it's stupid. Okay? Perception is important. Interpretation is important. Okay? Um, so some of my students, maybe I show them a picture and they go, oh, all right, that's cool. Some of my students, I show them a picture and they go, oh, wow, look at that. That's interesting. And what about this? Why is this way? And why is this blue and not green? What does that mean? I think this means that because there's a fire, it must mean this. They're seeing something. It's their personal view. They're taking the time to think about it more deeply. Okay, perception. And yes, perception is about depth of view. Depth of view means that means some people have a shallow depth of view. What does that mean? That means that when you see something, that's all you see. You don't see anything more deeply. Okay? So some teachers, they see a student and that's all they see, and they don't think about it more deeply. But if I have a student who maybe every day they come in and they don't raise their hand, and they seem to be kind of shy, and they seem to be afraid of loud noises or something, I will look at that student and I will try to see more deeply. I will try to understand what happened to this student to make them that way. What's going on behind the scenes? What's happening more that I can't see obviously? That's perception, that's interpretation, that's depth of view. You need to see more deeply. How shallow is your view? Let me ask you that question. Do you have deep eyes or shallow eyes? Do you have deep eyes or shallow eyes? You need to have deep eyes. You need to have deep eyes, everyone. Yeah, that's right. Scrutinize things. Right. Karma says what truly matters is your perspective, not just what's in front of you. I would say that's correct, but I would add it's not just your perspective that matters. Human beings have a very unique skill. We have the skill of compassion and empathy. And that means that we have the ability to not just see things through our eyes and our problems, but we have the ability to see problems through other people's eyes. That's why we talk about walk a mile in a man's shoes, right? Have you ever walk 100 miles in a man's shoes before you judge him? Something like that, you know? There's all kinds of phrases like that. Because we know that this is what it might mean to me. But what does it mean to this person? What does it mean to that person? What did it mean 100 years ago? What will it mean in 100 years in the future? So depth of view is not just about your perspective. It's about every perspective that you can imagine. Can you imagine the perspective of this person? You know, it's an interesting exercise. I want you to think about your favorite movie or book. Think about your favorite movie or book. Then I want you to think, what if they wrote that book again, but wrote it from the view of another character? How would it be different, or how would it be the same? Right? So what if they rewrote, let me think, give me a famous book. Famous book or famous movie? Give me a famous book or a famous movie. I knew somebody was going to say Titanic. All right, so let's do Titanic. We'll do Titanic. Okay, so Titanic. So the story is written in the main characters is what, the girl and the boy. I'll be honest, I've never seen Titanic, so I can't really speak about it very well. But let's just say, what if we wrote the story from the viewpoint of the captain? What if you wrote the story from the viewpoint of one of the workers on the ship? What if you wrote the story from the viewpoint of somebody who was a family member who didn't get on the boat? Right? They were supposed to go, but they didn't. So you could write the story from a new perspective, same story, and now it's going to be different. Right? That is a powerful exercise. That is a very, very powerful exercise in imagination. You can take any movie and any story and analyze it from a different point of view. Think about what it would mean, right? So, for example, like, what if you wrote, well, let's see, what do we have? We have some more, Harry Potter, that's a good one, Miguel. That's a good one. Yeah, so if you wrote Harry Potter, if you took Harry Potter, you could rewrite the Harry Potter books from any one of those characters' viewpoints, and it would be different, right? Right? So you could write the story from the point of view of Hermione, or from one of the other characters, right? It would be different. The Lord of the Rings, there's another good one, right? The Lord of the Rings could be rewritten from anybody's point of view, and it changes the story. Okay? Sophia's favorite movie is Avatar. Okay, so think about if you rewrote the story of Avatar, but you wrote it from the point of view of one of the military guys, like the bad guys, or you wrote it from the point of view of the girl he falls in love with, not him, you know? Right? So it would change everything, right? It's a really simple exercise, but it's a really powerful one. If you actually take the time to think about one of your favorite stories, but imagine it from someone else's point of view. You could even ask ChatGPT to do this for you, right? So ask ChatGPT to rewrite a version of a famous story, but from a different point of view. Okay? Ask them to rewrite it from a different point of view. It'd be interesting to see, right? Michael says, introduce the comedy named Shameless. Well, it's not exactly a comedy, Michael. It's a drama. It has a lot of funny moments in it, but it's a drama more than a comedy. But there's another good example. You could write that story from the point of view of Frank and not from the point of view of the kids. Or what about Liam? If you wrote the story from the point of view of Liam, how would that story be different? Okay, if you know that TV show, then you know who I'm talking about. Okay? Ooh, look at that. Woohoo says, if you change the way you look at things, you change, the things you look at change. That's right. Very good. That's right. Yeah, perspective is important. And depth of view is important. Okay? Shawshank Redemption. What if you rewrote Shawshank Redemption from the point of view of one of the prison guards, or from the point of view of the warden? Be very different. Or from the point of view of one of the other prisoners that were friends, right? You know, somebody else from the outside. White chicks. Let's never rewrite that movie. Let's pretend that movie was never written. Okay, so perspective is the point. Perspective, right? That's what we're talking about. All right, let's see. What's my next quote to talk about here today? Okay, let's do this one. This is a pretty basic and obvious one, but let's do it. Here's the next one. The next one is we learn more by looking for the answer to a question and not finding it than we do from learning the answer itself. What does that mean? From Lloyd Alexander. Oh, interesting. If that's who that is, he's a fantasy writer. If we learn more by looking for the answer to a question and not finding it than we do from learning the answer itself. What does that mean? C says not to be mouth fed, right? Spoon fed, right? What it means is that if I give you the answer, you learned nothing. And that happens here all the time. Many, many lazy people come here and they just ask me questions, maybe to their test. They're taking a test and they want me to give them the answer. And I won't, because it doesn't mean anything to them then. And if they don't respect the knowledge, then I'm not going to give it to them. You have to earn it. And the process of earning knowledge is a struggle. It's a struggle to find an answer. And when you struggle, you grow. When you struggle, you grow. So, keeping your mind sharp is not about gaining answers. Keeping your mind sharp is about continuing to look for answers. Do you hear that? Keeping your mind sharp is not about finding answers or knowledge. Keeping your mind sharp is about looking for the knowledge. It's about actually going to search for it. The process of the search is what keeps your mind sharp. Getting the answer doesn't actually do it. It's the process, it's the search that is so important. Okay? That's what you were doing? You were giving the quote where you're finding the answer? Not exactly, no. I'm doing what's called teasing knowledge. Teasing knowledge means I'm putting a piece of food in front of you and I'm saying, tell me what it tastes like. What do you think this is? Tell me what do you feel about this thing? That's what I'm doing. That's called teasing the knowledge out of you. It's not giving you the answer. I told you what the answer is, but now I want you to come figure out what it means. That's the search. That's the important part, right? Yeah. Raymond, you can keep your mind sharp. You can. Just focus on making your life more about learning. It's not hard. It's really not hard. You just have to try to find more ways to make your life educational. It's not hard. That's right. Tanvahol, that's right. All right, let's do the next one. Okay, this one is a good one. Here's a good one. Pardon me. There are no shortcuts to any place worth going. There are no shortcuts to any place worth going. I like this one. It's not exactly true, but I like to say that there are no shortcuts in learning, because learning is not about getting there faster. Learning is about getting there better. That's the big problem that some students have. The difference between a good student and a bad student. A bad student wants to get there faster. A good student wants to get there better. Do you understand the difference? You love shortcuts, though. Tell me a shortcut you love. When I think of shortcuts, it depends on how you look at them. If the reason why you want the shortcut is because you want to get there faster so you don't have to think, that is not good. But if you like shortcuts because they're just quick ways to understand something more simply, that's okay. So it's a matter of your perspective, right? If you have a lazy perspective, then no, it's not good. But if you don't have a lazy perspective, then shortcuts can be just another way to look at something so that you can understand it more easily, right? Like analogies. Analogies are kind of like a shortcut to the mind, right? Maybe you don't understand this concept, but if I tell you about this simple analogy, then you go, oh, I understand that, right? That's a shortcut. But the purpose of that shortcut is not to get there faster, it's to understand better. So if your purpose of shortcuts is to understand better, then that's okay. If your purpose of shortcuts is to understand faster, then that's just lazy. Okay? That's just lazy. Like asking AI to summarize a book instead of reading the whole one. Right. Now, I'll tell you what. Do you know what I think about that? I'll tell you what I think about that. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking AI to summarize a book for you before you read it. If that helps you to feel better about it. For example, Egg. In high school, when I had English class, we had to read books, English literature, right? And I'll be honest with you, it sucked. Most of the teachers were so boring, and they were terrible at explaining why any of this was valuable. They were really terrible at explaining why it was important for us to learn. And so, honestly, I think that if they had tried to explain better a summary of what we're going to read about. We're going to read this book. It's about this kid who does this thing, and he's going to learn about this, and this is why it's important. I'll be honest with you. I think that's good. I don't think you need to push someone down a dark hallway. And that's how sometimes classes feel like the teacher is afraid to turn on the light and let you see. They want to push you down the dark hallway. That's not good. Why not just turn on the light and say, oh, well, this is what we're going to read about. We're going to read about this. Oh, okay. That sounds kind of interesting. Let's read about it. Egg says, but after I get the summary, I won't read the book at all. And my answer to that would be maybe. Or maybe it intrigues you and inspires you to want to read more. And maybe you would never have read that book anyway. So at least you read a summary. That's better than nothing. Okay? Summaries are not as good as the whole book, but at least you have some idea what it's about, right? So maybe you never read Romeo and Juliet, But you can read a summary of Romeo and Juliet and learn something about it. Okay? Actually, one of my favorite series of books, I have about 100 books on my phone that are called Oxford Introductions. And it's a wonderful series that the Oxford Publications made. And they're books, they're about 100 pages long. They're tiny little books that you can buy, like real ones. They're only about this big, and they're very tiny, like 100 pages, right? And in 100 pages, it will explain everything you need to know about biology, or everything you need to know about the Civil War, or everything you need to know about European history, right? So it's like a quick summary. And it's about 100 pages. But it's written by Oxford. It's quite good. And it's better than if you didn't learn anything about it. Okay? So, egg. A little bit of knowledge done the wrong way is still better than no knowledge at all. Okay? Shortcuts as a creative way of thinking, maybe out of the box. Yeah, sure. They are sometimes, yeah. Well, yeah, you should always be aware. Like, I'm not telling you that you shouldn't look for shortcuts, but I want you to understand this. Listen to me carefully. Do you know what the difference between proficiency is and efficiency is? What's the difference between proficiency and efficiency? Okay, so efficiency, to do something efficiently, means to do something as quickly as possible with the least amount of work or effort or energy. Okay, so that's efficiency, is how can I get there faster with less effort? Okay, proficiency means how can I get there and know more? To be proficient at something means you know it well. You don't just know it, you know it well. And learning is not a process of efficiency. It's a process of proficiency. So in life, many things are a process of efficiency, right? When you do things, we naturally try to do them quicker and with less effort. That's a natural thing that humans do. But not everything in life is an exercise of efficiency. Some things in life are exercises of proficiency. And learning is about knowing it well. It's not about knowing it just enough. If the end of the world is coming, do you want the guy who knows it well, or do you want the guy who just read one book to tell you what's happening? When it comes to knowledge, we understand that the smart guy is not the one who got there faster. It's the guy who got there better. Do you understand? Okay? All right. Let's see. No notices. I had English literature subject before. It was the worst subject. It was about English ages like the Renaissance and Victorian age. And I'll tell you what. See, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Actually, the Renaissance in particular, the Renaissance is an amazing age of literature to read about. It's an amazing time to study. There was so much crazy stuff happening during the Renaissance. Renaissance, it's a word that means rebirth, right? And there was so much happening in history and in science and in literature and in art and in music and in politics and in philosophy. There was so much happening during the Renaissance. It's actually a very easy time to make exciting. It shouldn't be difficult to make the Renaissance exciting. So if you had a teacher that was unable to make the Renaissance exciting, that's really that's bad. Because again, if you can't get excited by the Renaissance, man, there are so many names that come out of that time period that are just like, oh wow, yeah, what would we do without that? You know? C says maybe at the beginning efficiency is good for you to get more engaged and then to go for the proficiency. Yeah, sometimes it starts that way. Sometimes it starts as like a, that's right. Like maybe I read one of those books from Oxford Introductions and it's only 100 pages, so it was efficient. But now I'm intrigued. I want to know more. I'm curious. So now I'll go get more books about it. Okay? All right, let's go on to the next quote. Um, here's the next quote. The next quote, I've mentioned this quote before, but I'm going to keep saying this quote because it's a very important quote. Let me ask you this question first. Do you like to read? Or better yet, tell me if you do not like to read. Tell me if you do not like reading. It's okay. Just tell me if you don't like reading. I know I asked 2 days ago. You were here. But not everybody was here. And woohoo, sometimes I say things over and over again, as any good teacher should. Okay? Ghost doesn't like reading, okay. Anybody else not like reading? Alexander says not every time, okay. All right, well, I'm glad to see that most of you like reading. That is a good thing. But there's a quote that I want you to pay attention to. It's a quote from Mark Twain. Do you know who Mark Twain is? Samuel Clemens. He's one of the most famous American authors. And this is one of my favorite quotes from Twain. I have a lot of favorite quotes from Twain, but this one: the man who does not read has no advantage over the man who cannot read. Let me say that again. The man who does not read has no advantage over the man who cannot read. So some of you, there are some people, I see them, they come to my streams and they say, I don't like reading. And then I ask them, well, what do you think if you meet a person who can't read? Do you know anybody who can't read at all? Or have you ever thought about that there are people who can't read? Don't you feel kind of sorry for them? A little bit? Right? They're unable to understand so much because they can't read. There's so much that they cannot experience, right? Because they can't read. And again, I want you to consider that if you choose not to read, there is no difference between choosing not to read and not being able to read. So if you feel sorry for the person who cannot read, you should also feel sorry for the person who does not read. And if that's you, you should think about that a little bit more. You should think about that a little bit more. Woohoo says, I don't like reading because my eyes are not good, but I can listen. Okay, well, that's okay, fine. Audiobooks are good. That's fine. You know, it depends on what I'm going to read. I only read things that interest me. All right, see, I understand that, and I think that's fine. I think that most people try to read things that they like, of course. What I would tell you is, if you say you don't like reading, I tell you that you haven't read enough. If you say you don't like reading, it doesn't mean you don't like reading. It means you haven't found something good yet. That's all. There are billions and billions of books and stories and articles. So if you say, I don't like reading, that's such a stupid thing to say. It's the same as saying, I don't like music or food. I don't like food. I don't like food. Food's not good. Books aren't good. Come on. You know? If you say you don't like music, you haven't heard enough music. If you say you don't like books, you haven't found the right book. If you say you don't like whatever, reading, music, food, you haven't tried enough. That's that simple. There is no possible way that you can just not like it. That's not an option. That's not a choice. It's not a possibility. There is a book that you like. There is music that you like. There are foods that you like. You just don't know what they are. Okay? Take care, Tanvahul. All right. We only have time for a little bit more here. Let's see. Since we're talking about Twain, we're going to go ahead and do another Twain quote. I love Mark Twain. That guy was just so brilliant. If you want to know what witty means, read Mark Twain's quotes. If you want to know what witty is. What does witty mean? Who's witty? How can you be witty? Read Mark Twain, and then you'll know what wit means. Okay, so here's the final quote for today from Twain. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. It's basic. It's basic. You can't finish if you never start. Okay? Getting ahead. Yeah, getting ahead means getting ahead like you're racing, right? You're in a race and you want to get ahead of everyone else, right? So the secret of getting ahead of everybody else is start. And the reason I love this quote is because every time I do a stream, there is somebody who comes here and says, how can I learn English faster? How can I learn English faster? How can I learn English faster? Every time there's somebody who just asks the question, how can I learn it in 2 months? How can I learn it in 1 year? How can I learn it quicker? Right? They always want to know how. They ask the question every day. So yesterday they asked me the question, and today they asked me the question, and next week they're going to ask me the question, and next month they're going to ask me the question. But do you know what they don't do? The one thing they don't do, they don't start. They keep asking, how can I do it quicker? But for weeks and months and months and months, they don't do it. So they keep coming and they keep saying, Teacher Mark, I asked you last year, how can I learn faster? But they never start. Yeah. You know, it's crazy. Yeah. Okay, I need to go. But before I do, I will tell you my favorite Mark Twain quote. It's a little bit political, but I'm not going to give it any context. I'm just going to tell you the quote. Okay? So this is I'm going to say this is my second favorite quote by Twain. Okay? My second favorite quote. So here it is. He said, politicians are like diapers. Do you guys know what diapers are? What are diapers? Yeah, for babies, right? Diapers are the baby pants that they wear, right? Those are called diapers. So his quote, he said, politicians are like diapers. They need to be changed often and for the same reason. So why do you have to change a baby's diaper? You like that, Alexandra? Politicians are like diapers. Diapers means baby pants. Okay? And baby pants that they wear because they can pee and poop in them, right? So sometimes a baby's diaper is full of something. Sometimes politicians are also full of something. That's my favorite Twain quote. I love that quote. Second favorite. My first favorite I'll tell you next time, if you ask me. Okay? Diapers is spelled like this, D-I-A-P-E-R-S. Okay? All right. I will see you guys next time. I have to go. Have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay? Bye, Bellin.